Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode about the movies with William Fletcher. As per usual, I am your host, William Fletcher, and for this week's episode, I am joined once again, as is quite often the case, Mr. Barney Metcalf.
It's me. I was trying to think of some sort
Uh,
of joke to make about the film, but I couldn't think of anything in time.
we're not. How do I get?
We're
I'm trying to make a
werewolves, not
pun.
squeals.
Swearbles. Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah. And this week it's we should have. I should have. I just completely remember this. We should have done like those Treehouse of Horror episodes where they give all the cast and crew nicknames in like the opening
Oh yeah.
titles.
Oh,
Um.
oh well.
Shit. I'll think of one for next time. But so look forward to that. That's a thing we might do next
We can
time
have
because it's
nicknames next
October.
time.
Ooh, it's
Ooh,
the October. Ooh. And we're going to
spooky.
talk about some horror stuff this month because October is the time to do that.
Time of spooky things.
Yeah, ooh, and this thing. Well, we're
Let's
not
kick
talking
off
about a
with
thing that is.
talking about comedy.
Yeah, we're not. We're not talking. We're talking about a thing that is like is like a horror film, but not really. It's a horror comedy. That's definitely more of a comedy than a horror film.
Yeah,
Like when I see
comedy
stuff
horror.
that's labeled as like comedy horror, and then you watch it, and it's like, oh, this is just a horror film that's got like a bit of a sense of humor to it. Like there are
Whereas,
films that are like
yeah,
classed as comedy horrors, and then you watch them, and they're either more horror or more comedic. Like I think Evil Dead 2 fits that perfectly of like being a perfect blend of
yeah.
comedy and horror. I was gonna say Shaun of the Dead, but to be honest, I don't even know if I think Shaun of the Dead is like amazingly funny. Like it's not unfunny, but I don't think
I
it's
think Shaun
laugh
of the Dead's
out
a very
loud.
funny film.
I think there are bits that are really funny, but I will say I think Hot Fuzz is
I say
considerably
Hot
funnier.
Hot Fuzz is definitely the funniest of those films, but
Um,
but yeah, this one, what we're talking about today. Oh yeah, we haven't actually said what we're talking about today.
Yeah, what we're talking about this week is what we do in the shadows because the final season, season 6 of What We Do in the Shadows, is premiering in a couple of weeks. But I'm doing this now because I do want to talk about What We Do in the Shadows, and there just wasn't time closer to the release date to just like slot this in, just because there's other things planned to do. So we're doing it now, and yeah, so I rewatched the film. I had planned to watch through Wellington Paranormal, which is sort of the spin-off of the film and the TV show. I didn't get an opportunity to do that though, so we're just gonna talk about What We Do in the Shadows this
Yeah, I've never
week.
seen Wellington Paranormal either, so we'll just have
And
to.
I've been meaning to because I've heard it's quite good. It's got some. I've heard it's quite a good show. Um, but yeah, What We Do in the Shadows. Let's start with the film. 2014. It came out in one of Taika Waititi film. I've sort of dabbled with Taika Waititi's work before. I did an episode on Jojo Rabbit a few years ago, and I also talked about Thor Ragnarok in the Thor episode I did a couple of years ago. But Barney, you weren't involved in either of those. So where do you sort of land with Taika Waititi, just in general?
Um, I used to be a really big fan of his, and I think I'm just kind of fed up now.
That sounds like everyone. Sounds like
Yeah,
everyone is
I'm not
tired of.
setting the apple cart there,
Yeah.
but I saw obviously everyone got pissy about Thor: Love and Thunder, which was okay, but not
I think
amazing.
the hate was a bit over the top about that one. There are
Yeah, I
issues with it,
agree. I
but
think
it's
people went a bit
definitely
overboard.
not a terror. I don't think it's a terrible film. I think it's,
No, neither do I. It's
but
fine. It's
yeah,
um,
it's definitely
and
lesser Marvel, but it's not bad.
yeah. And then I saw at the start of this year his most recent film, Next Goal Wins, which again was okay.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, I haven't seen that
it's
yet.
fine.
I've yeah, I've heard a lot of people aren't that into it though, and they're quite that people weren't into Next Goal Wins as a
No,
film. Yeah, I mean Taika Waititi for a brief period of time was kind of like the golden boy. Like he was just everybody loved Taika Waititi. Everyone thought he was amazing. He was, and this happens in the industry every now and again. There's just an actor or a filmmaker or whoever who everybody is just like,
But
"Oh, we
well, they're
fucking
just
love this
the man.
guy."
Yeah.
And then people always turn on them. Chris Pratt, I remember, like 2014, 2015. Everybody fucking loved Chris Pratt. He was in everything. He was, seen as like this next great movie star. Cut to a few
Well,
years later, everybody's
nowadays,
fucking sick of him.
he's still in everything, but it's baffling. Chris Pratt, who
Yeah,
are
he's
you?
still in everything, and even though people are sick of Chris Pratt, people are just like, we're fucking sick of it. And I think Taika Waititi is like the next person on that
Yes,
list of just like was
I think so.
incredibly beloved. And look, I would describe myself as a fan, like in a general sense. I like Taika Waititi's work.
For the vast
I just
majority of his career, I do really like him.
and I think I mean I love Thor Ragnarok. I think it's top
Thor
5
Ragnarok.
of Marvel's output. I think it's
Yeah, yeah.
a
Agreed.
legitimately great film. Like I stand by it. Like, and it's not even like oh I like it, but I can like I genuinely think Thor Ragnarok is just from the way it's put together and the way it's crafted. It's just really
Yeah,
great. I love like
yeah.
it's
No,
fantastic.
I love Thor Ragnarok.
And I know people are dismissive of it because it's Marvel, but those are silly people.
This
But
was
what we do
before
in
the
the
Marvel
shadows,
plot started.
yeah, what we do in the
This
shadows.
was
So it was essentially a longer form version of a short film
a
they
short
made,
film.
which
Yeah,
yeah, I mean they were sort of made that in mid in 2005, and then sort of
yeah, okay. So after though,
yeah
a bit after, but yeah.
yeah Jermaine Clement went off. He did Flight of the Concords with Brett McKenzie. And Taika Waititi sort of he did a couple of. I mean, he did Boy and Eagle versus Shark, were his sort of two films he
He
did
did
beforehand.
he did a short film that got Oscar nominated.
That happens a lot with filmmakers. I feel like Martin McDonagh has won an Oscar for his short film he
Yeah,
did.
for, Six Shooter.
Yeah, which is quite good actually. I thought that was a very
Oh, I
solid
really like
short film.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, Two Cars, One Night.
And
Yeah,
then
the
he did another
film was
short film about soldiers, like Kiwi soldiers during I think World War One. But yeah, then he did Eagle versus
um
Shark, and he did Boy, which he did a lot of crowdfunding for.
mm,
And
I
then
mean,
they were
fair
kind of
enough.
happy to give a fair bit of money to make a film.
Yeah. And I think, making films in New Zealand is it makes sense that he had to crowdfund because I just can't, I imagine that the industry is quite smaller in New Zealand.
Yeah,
Like it's not a, it's a very small country and it's hard to get funding there. I feel like, and I'm just reading it here. What We Do in the Shadows raised $447,000 um, via crowdfunding. So they did employ more of that to help get this film made, which is
yeah.
fair enough. To be honest, it's hard to get a film made. It's a vampire film, which is we're in a bit of a vampire renaissance right now.
Now that
In
you
in
say that, yeah,
like sort of every now and again, there's like a zombie race. Like in the early 2000s, there was the zombie renaissance. Shaun of the Dead, Resident Evil,
Dawn
Dawn
of the
of the
Dead remake.
Dead. Sort of
That's good.
there's other films that I'm probably forgetting. Sort of in the early 2000s, and now we're sort of going through a bit of a
28 days
vampire
later,
phase.
people might say I'm wrong by saying that,
But yeah,
but
we're in
I've
this vampire renaissance right now.
yeah, we had stuff like Renfield a few years ago and that Abigail film.
Yeah,
Um,
El Conde, Salem's
oh
Lot,
yeah,
Last Voyage of the Dementor.
there was that
Um,
Dracula miniseries that Netflix did a few years ago.
yeah, Robert Eggers' new film is Nosferatu. But yeah, What We Do in the Shadows, 2014 film. I rewatched it earlier today because it's been a few years since I've seen it, and yeah, I really quite liked it. It's probably my second favorite Taika Waititi film behind Thor Ragnarok.
It's up there for me. This is a film that I've seen a few times,
Mm.
and yeah, it's a great deal of fun. I am a very big fan.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to get into the cast, I guess a logical place to start the casting. I mean, so yeah, you've got Taika Waititi, and he works here. I think my thing with part of my problem with Taika Waititi is he's just kind of in a lot of stuff, and
Yeah,
I'm kind of sick of seeing him in things. But I think he works here.
But yeah, I
I
think
think
I understand
he
the character Iago. You know, he's what was it? He's like a dandy, isn't he? He's like pining
mm,
after a love. Um,
yeah, he's pining after this woman
he's just
who's
very
yeah,
sweet, and I think that's why it works. 'Cause it's just such an
yeah,
inherently likable character.
yeah, and apparently he based his performance on his own mother, so that def- so I guess that comes from yeah. I quite like Taika Waititi in this. Like I think Taika Waititi. I don't think he's like an amazing actor or anything, but I think he works here,
Yeah, I'd
like
say
with the
so.
material he's got. I don't think he works when he's trying to do other things.
He's
When
trying to
there's like
be
a
Hitler.
specific role, I don't think he works in that at all, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I wasn't that sold on him as Hitler.
Yeah. But along with Taika Waititi, we've also got Jermaine Clement, who is one
What
of the other
sounds cool.
vampires.
Is he
Uh,
like Vlad? Vladislav, is that his name?
yeah, his name is Vladislav, an
The
862-year-old vampire. He apparently based his performance on Gary Oldman's performance in Bram Stoker's
Bram Stoker's
Dracula.
okay. Yeah.
I mean, this film, there's a lot of vampire films that they've got credited as like inspiration, or they've taken
Yeah,
elements
pretty much all the
from.
big ones.
They've mentioned in this Wikipedia article, there's Lost Boys, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Interview with the Vampire, and there's also references to Blade, Twilight, and Buffy. So they
It's
really
all the
talk.
big vampire things.
Yeah, all the famous vampire films, which I do. I mean, we'll get into this more in the TV show, but one of my favorite bits in the show is when Wesley Snipes shows up in the show. I thought that was
Oh yeah.
genuinely really funny. But yeah, Jermaine Clement, he's also again, I don't know if he's like an amazing actor, but I think he works
I've seen enough Flight of the
well.
Conchords to say I don't think he's that amazing as an actor, but
Mhm.
I think he's able to get away with it just because he gets to be Kiwi, and that's
Yeah,
enough.
I mean, I'm very familiar with his music work, and I think his music work is very
Mm.
good. I think the stuff he's put out with Brett McKenzie is fantastic. Got uh,
Jean
Jonathan
Brew,
Brew. Uh,
Brew.
it was a younger vampire. He was seen as the rebel, and he does this erotic dance at one point in the film, which I thought was quite
Yes.
good. But along with those actors, we've got Reese Darby, who I quite like
Oh
as
yeah.
Anton,
Uh,
the
Anton
werewolf,
the
not
werewolf,
the
not
swearwolf,
Swearwolf.
which is genuinely a really
My
funny
favorite bits
line.
of the film.
So good. Yeah,
All the stuff
I
whenever
don't know why
werewolves
that's so.
fight, I love it. It's great.
Yeah, I really. Again, we don't get many werewolf films. Like the amount of werewolf media is
Yeah, I
quite minimal, which is disappointing because I think there's a
love
lot to
werewolf stuff.
do. Yeah, I mean, The Wolfman, the Universal horror film, it's a great
Yeah,
film.
love it.
And they're doing Lee Whannell's making a werewolf film
Yeah, yeah,
next
yeah.
year
Looking forward
actually,
to that.
which I am looking forward to that. Actually, it sounds pretty solid. So I and he made the Invisible Man good. He made
Yeah,
he made a good Invisible Man film. Not that I don't dislike, not that I don't like the original. I just think he did a really good job with Invisible Man, so I can believe the Wolfman will be good.
indeed.
And then we've also got Officers O'Leary and Minogue, who they're the leads of Wellington Paranormal, so it's spin off. And I did really enjoy the scene. Probably my favorite scene in the film is when they go into the vampire's house and they're just sort of walking around and they're like, "Do you see what I see? No smoke detectors in the entire house."
Yeah, that's my favorite bit. But like, you saw what I
That's
say?
really good. Yeah,
It's so
yeah. It's genuinely really funny. Like this is yeah. I just think this film and the show as well are both just really funny. I mean, I connect with comedy more than I do with drama because comedy is just inherently infinitely more interesting to me. Like
it's just easy.
I enjoy stuff that can just have fun with itself. You know, just watching like I just like TV dramas. I have issues with watching because I'm just like, oh my fucking god, this is so long, guys. Come on. Like, there's no sense of fun to what we're doing here. Like, this is just not, like I get so much more out of TV comedies because they're just, I enjoy stuff that is okay. I like stuff with a sense of humor. It's very rare for me to be like to love stuff that is like completely po-faced because that's just kind of not interesting to me. I like things to have a bit more going on to them, or at least as if you're gonna make a serious film, just put like a robot in it or have something a bit out there. You know, I don't I get it. I don't. I mean, I'm trying to think of. I think even I'm trying to think of because I think a lot of vampire stuff there is an air of fun to it. I can't think of much vampire stuff that is completely po-faced because I don't think it can be.
In a way, the original Universal Dracula is kind of like that, but that's not very good.
True, but I mean that film's not that great though. To be fair,
Yeah. Oh, so the film needs to be good for this argument to hold up.
well, no, I think it just proves my point that I think like Abigail, for example, which I saw recently, it's really funny. Like it's a lot. There's a lot of fun to be had for it, and that's why it works. Is it's a really
Well, by the looks
fun
of things,
film.
Nosferatu is going to be fairly straight down the line and serious.
Yeah, but I can with horror, I can excuse it a bit more with horror if it creates an atmosphere that I go with. Like if it's just
Okay,
like I
that's
guess
fair.
like but yeah, I think yeah, and I mean Taika Waititi, I do think Taika Waititi in general can be really funny. I do think he has kind of lost that as he's gone on. I mean one of
Yeah,
the big problems with Thor Love and Thunder is I do think Disney didn't keep they sort of let him be
he's got
free
too
with
much
it.
kind of freedom and power. Yeah, it's kind
Yeah,
of
and I
getting a
mean I
bit
think this
over.
goes for I mean, an obvious, an immediate example I'd pull to mind is Lin Manuel Miranda. Like when Disney or whoever they really like focus on what Lin's doing, he makes great stuff. But when he doesn't have like an someone over his shoulder, like watching what he's doing, he just makes utter shite. Like Hamilton's shit because it's his thing, you know. Whereas his stuff for Moana is very good. I think, but this is Taika Waititi again because he also has a very low. I think what this film does because it has a very low budget. Like, but they
Mm.
do quite a lot with that minimal budget. Like, there's stuff where they're like floating in the air, and it's just like, man, they really like. I would like this is low budget filmmaking. Like, 1.6 million is not a lot to make a film.
No,
You know, like it's barely anything. You know, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot. Like, it's more money than I'll probably ever own, but to
in
make a
terms of
film, you
filmmaking,
know,
yeah,
it's peanuts basically. But they do a lot with it, and I really respond to that. I mean, I don't know where you stand on this, but like, I really respond to films that are low budget and they just work with what they've got. Like Peter Jackson's early work, who's also from a New Zealander.
very
Like Bad Taste and Brain Dead are really good films, and you can tell they're made with fuck all. Like they are made with peanuts, you know. Like,
some
but
of
they're
those
really
cheap.
great films. You know, I mean, Bad Taste, it took him years to make Bad Taste
Yes.
because he just kept running out of money, which I think
Yep.
is like, you know, but I think it's
It was just, yeah, it was
commendable that
basically
he
just him and his mates on weekends over several years making a film.
and I mean, I respect that. And then, you know, I respect that they can just be like, yeah, we'll just make it. Yeah, so it says Bad Taste was made over the course of 4 years. That is mental.
Jesus.
But that's how long it's taken them to make one fucking Avatar film. Like Jesus Christ. But I think this film really I really like this film. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I
It's
thought we were just gonna be saying that a lot.
I think it's really yeah, just really funny. There is a lot of stuff in it that I noticed on this rewatch. It's like, oh, the TV show did this. Like there are certain scenes where I'm like, oh, this was just what the TV show did a few years later.
No, you'll
Um,
have to point some of those out to me.
I mean, there's a scene I think in the film where there's the older vampire, like the Nosferatu looking one.
Oh, yeah, Peter.
Um, Peter, yeah, and and like the
Well, he's
Baron is
like the
sort of his,
Baron. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And I believe there's a bit where they accidentally set him on fire. I think, or they accident,
A vampire hunter breaks in and, he
yeah,
accidentally gets, yeah, caught in the sunlight and dies.
yeah. And I can't think of anything else right now, but there are definitely other moments where I'm like the TV show did this, you know, later on, and
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with that because they still work in the show and they work
Oh,
in the
so stuff
film.
like them having a feud with the werewolves.
Yeah, the werewolf feud, that's an obvious thing, although they're all um Americans, which is just not as fun
Yeah,
because they don't have
if it's not
they
Rhys
don't
Darby and a bunch of Kiwi guys.
yeah, bunch that's the thing I've noticed is it's like I don't think this would be as funny with like Americans doing it. Like I think
No, I think
like
a big
doing
part of it is
like
just New Zealand.
yeah, there's a New
Yeah,
Zealand
don't
charm to it.
don't associate all this genre stuff with New Zealand.
Yeah. And there's
I
also the
think
bits in it where they're
you could
yeah,
set any
walking.
film in New Zealand and cast New Zealand actors in it, and it would be 10 times better. Die Hard, but in New Zealand. The terrorists are all they're all Australians. Um, what else could you do? Train
I'm
spots.
trying to think of
Just stealing
Train
people
Spot.
kind of thing.
Fucking Begbie,
Choose life,
fucking
bro.
glassing fucking glassing people, then he just turns around with a Kiwi accent.
Gosh, shit, man.
What trying to think of a film that would just be made infinitely better with New Zealand actors.
Schindler's
Oh,
List.
I was like, that's such an obvious Ricky Gervais level joke that I'm like, I don't think I
Yeah.
can make it 'cause it's
Oh
like
well,
it's
I
just the
did.
most obvious joke, but you did make it. Let me look at films I like and just seeing what would be funny with New Zealanders. Um,
Something very dialogue heavy. Still pretty bored.
In Bruges with New Zealand actors, actually, that's a very
Oh,
dialogue driven.
yeah, a
Certainly
lot
some
of
bits.
cursing, which is fun.
Yeah, fucking. No, I can't say that word. That's a word I'm not allowed to say. If I was from a
I'll
fire,
take that big about
that's the Irish.
insert word here, kids. Take
Yeah,
that big about my kids, bro.
you're an
Right.
inanimate fucking object, yeah.
An enemy, an enemy object.
You're an inanimate fucking object, yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Sorry, New
it's
Zealand.
just not as. Yeah, no, I love New Zealand. I'm sure it's a lovely country. I'd love to visit New Zealand
It
because it
seems
seems
really
like
have their shit together generally.
yeah, it seems like an absolute lovely country. It looks, I mean, Lord of the Rings just shows that like it's a beautiful country to just live in. Yeah, I really like this film. I think it's just a really good film.
Yeah, no, yeah, I love it.
I like it. I
I love
give it
it.
an 8 out
As
of
in so many
10.
more times we can bang that drum.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd give it an 8.5. I'm a very big fan.
it's really good. And then we move on to the TV show, which
Mm.
I prefer to the film. I think you disagree.
Yeah, I don't quite, but I do think it's really, really good.
I think it's yeah, it's yeah, so I watched seasons 1 and 2 after season 2 had come out. So this was end of 2020, beginning of 2021. So I've
I
been
believe
on this,
I watched
train for a
I
few years now.
I watched I think I caught up with it at the last few episodes of season 1 were coming out or something.
Mm,
Actually, no, it might have been a little bit after.
yeah,
And then yeah, I've been watching it as it came out since
yeah,
season 2.
yeah. I will say I did fall off the train a bit with season 4. I found season 4 to be very mediocre, and I just didn't care enough to watch through it all. So I've watched through it all. I just lost interest in season 4, and then season 5 brought it back up, and is one of the best seasons they've done, probably since season
Mm.
2, to be honest.
Yeah, I
Um,
didn't I do that.
yeah, I mean the show to talk about the cast. It's a great cast as well. I will say they're
Yeah,
all
great group of
excellent.
actors.
Yeah,
All
got
3 of the main vampires are all from, like, the English comedy scene.
yeah. I mean Kyvan Novak, who I just see he just pops up in shit. I'll just
Yeah,
be
he's in
watching something. I'm like,
randomly in
it's
Inside
Nandor.
Number 9. Yeah,
Yeah, Inside Number 9. I
he's
watched,
in the
Cruella
film.
recently. He's got
Oh,
a
yeah, he's in that, isn't
bit
he?
part in that. He's
He's,
in Four Lions, I believe.
Oh, Lions, yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, and I mean, that's also a really good film. Yeah, he just pops up in random shit, and I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah,
shit. It's Nandor
Randall.
the Relentless." I think he's great on the show.
Yeah, I think he's very
He
good.
just I mean,
Yeah.
just the way he says things is just like like
Well, if we're
I
talking about actors that we like the way how they say things, Matt Berry.
Matt Berry, yeah, I mean Matt Berry is just he's got a wonderful voice. It's just like that voice where it's like, man, I
And he
wish
and
I
and
had
he
a voice
knows
that
how to
sounded like
use
that.
it to comic effect.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of Matt Berry for years now. When I first
Same,
saw the
yeah.
IT Crowd, and I thought he was phenomenal in that. Um,
God
because
damn,
yeah,
there's electric sex pants.
oh wow, a gun,
One of my favorite
father,
Speak Priest.
big
Um,
priest.
but, yeah, Matt Berry is, I think,
Yeah,
one of the
he's
funniest people working.
yeah, and he can just
Brilliant
take a
fun
line
Emmy this
and
year.
just make it fun. That and it's
Yeah.
not even like what he's saying is inherently funny. It's just the way he just takes lines and just makes them
Ismo,
funny.
shut the
It's like
fuck up. I'm doing a piece to the camera.
yeah,
It's
again,
your
and
American.
he's again. We've said this before. I don't know if we've said it on here, but he's just one of those actors where it's like it just sounds right when he swears. Like
Yeah.
it
What
just,
the fuck did you
it
say?
just, yeah, it just
Find
sounds
your
right when
fucking
he
next
swears.
line.
And yeah, I mean, again, British people, they've just got swearing down pat. You know, like they just get how it works. You know, they just
Yeah,
understand like,
that's fair.
and yeah, I mean, I think he's probably the best part, probably my favorite character on the show.
Yeah, I'm
I think he's
definitely in that camp.
yeah,
He should
really
have won an
funny.
Emmy this year, but because of all that nonsense with the bear,
But I was just gonna say before you start talking about Matt Berry is I don't know, I feel like we everyone gets this, but I'm sure you have, where there's just something that just sort of enters your lexicon, like a word or a phrase where it's like
yeah,
you just say it, like Spike from Alan
spat
Partridge.
uh,
And for me it's a creepy paper from when
creepy
yeah, early
paper,
on in
the
I was
creepy
I was
paper,
just at work and I just picked some up and I just completely involuntarily just went, "Oh, creepy paper."
creepy paper.
I don't even know why that's so funny to
I
me,
do
but
that sometimes as well.
I don't even know why. It's just really funny to me.
Paper.
Yeah. But we've also got
Natasha
Nadja,
Dimitri.
Natasha Dimitriou, who I've never quite gotten. Like I didn't dislike her, but on the most recent season, I thought she was really good. I don't even know what she was doing. She just sort of stood out to me more in season 5 for some
I mean, yes,
reason.
I think she's consistently very good.
But yeah,
She
no,
gets a
I
lot
do
of mileage
really.
out of doing that accent and things.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a Greek accent, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's like a
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think she's Greek
And
descent.
that yeah. Did she do it in Eurovision?
Yeah,
Yeah, and they've also got Harvey. I still don't think I know how to
Gien.
pronounce his last.
I think it's Gien.
Gien, yeah, that sounds possible. Who is I really like as well. I
As you
mean,
know,
I
he's
think
a
his best
great
work.
man. He's the normal.
Yeah, he's the familiar. He's the normal bloke. I mean, I thought he was. I mean, his best work for me is Puss in Boots 2. I thought he was fantastic in that, but I think he's really good in this show as well. He does a lot
Yes, he
to
quite a lot of the
really.
kind of he's in a way he's kind of like the heart of the show. It's whenever you want
Yeah,
to kind of care about somebody, it's him.
yeah. I mean, a lot of the character for him, and I guess the film is sort of like this as well as he's the familiar Fernando and he wants to become a vampire. And they have I mean a lot of the show is him trying to become a vampire. Um and then
Probably like the
you know
longest running joke.
yeah, and yeah, he basically spends much of the show dealing with that. Uh yeah, then he also becomes a vampire hunter for a bit. Just
Because he's descended from Van Helsing.
Van Helsing, yeah, spends like I mean the final episode of season 2 is just him annihilating an entire room of vampires. Like he just
But yeah,
goes in,
theatre full of vampires.
fucking John Wick's an entire room of vampires, just kills them all. And yeah, I quite like it. We've got Mark Proch. That
Props. I
sounds
don't know how you pronounce his name either.
yeah, as Colin Robinson. Um, And again, I say
Did you
Colin Robinson. I always say it, fucking
Robinson?
guy.
You're making
Who I
fun of my
also
accent.
yeah. Well,
Sorry,
hmm,
Transylvanians.
yeah. Sorry again. No, where is Transylvania again? Is it?
It's supposed to be like
That's not
around
what's
Romania.
not.
I think. It's not a real place, but
It's a region in Romania. Yeah,
oh, it's an
yeah. It's
actual.
meant to
All
be
right.
in yeah. Well, it
Yeah,
says it
okay.
apparently is. It would take a 1 day, 4 hour flight to get you
Oh, right.
to. Well, it says it's in
Oh, I
Romania.
just
I don't know if
assumed
it is.
because it's known for vampire shit that somebody just
Yeah,
made it up.
I was like, is it actually real or is it just it's known for? So it is like a region. So it's not like I don't know what the. Okay, it's since it's a region, so
Yeah, okay.
I guess it is a real place. Um,
Yeah, there you go.
even though it, yeah. But yeah, Colin Robinson, I really like. He's an energy vampire, which I like that this show they introduce sort of lore stuff in
Yeah,
terms
it's
of
from
like
like
stuff about the
Australia.
vampires. But yeah, that's it. It's not boring shit. It's like just funny stuff that I'm like, oh, this is cool. It's never gonna come back, but it's funny. Like
Yeah.
there's the episode where Nandor is like flying into space.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Is he a
I
vamp?
forgot why was he flying into space again.
To
I
see
don't
if
remember.
vampires are able to survive in space.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and there's just yeah the entire episode, like half the episode is just following him
Just floating up into the
flying into
sky.
space. Yeah. While the other characters are setting up a pride parade. And is that the one where Colin Robinson's face gets on Naja's body or something? Like I know
Yeah, I
there's
think
like a
it is.
body swap
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That one.
episode, and it ends with like um Laszlo just like fucking both, like he's
Yeah.
fucking Naja in, or Colin Robinson
With
in
Paul
Naja's body
Robinson.
or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
He was there.
There's a lot of sex stuff in this show. I must
I
say,
say
there's lots of
vampires are
sex.
very, very sexually liberal.
Which you know, there's I don't have I'm not compla there's nothing wrong with that. I think
No,
that's perfectly
I think.
fine. It's a very progressive show. Like
So
Laszlo is
all of
basically
the
down.
vampires are very kind of casually bisexual.
Yeah, they'll just like Laszlo will like he just screams like I don't care. I'm ready for anything. You know, he'll just take it anything, and he'll be like, yeah, I'll try it. Like he always just like every like half the stuff he's doing is like, oh, here's a bunch of my sex toys or whatever, you know, like he's just got so
Orgy
much.
stuff.
But yeah, it's a very sexually liberal show,
What
which
we like
is
to see.
fine. I think it's kind of refreshing, honestly, because you don't see this kind of thing like in general. To be honest, like I don't think there are that many shows that are this sexually liberal that I can think of anyway. That
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
aren't about sex.
I say you can't really
Uh,
include sex education because that's the whole point of
Yeah,
the show.
because that's the whole point of that show is it's like it's about
Very
sex.
open.
So it's and then sort of for the main cast who sort of a recent addition, Christine Shaw as the guide
Oh, yeah.
who's sort of the sixth major character who wasn't in there at the beginning and has now become a permanent member of the
What was it
cast.
like? She used to be on the Vampire
The
Council or
vampiric
something.
counts, yeah, well so she's an envoy of the vampiric council, and then yeah, so that's sort of your main cast, and and they really bounce off each other really well, which I think is good. I think for a
Mm.
comedy you need a cast that can just bounce off each other
Well, and it
really
helps that
well, and I think
they've all got a background in comedy acting, or just comedy in general, so they kind of know
yeah,
what they're
they're
doing.
all and yeah, I mean this is also made by comedy people. Like this is a show, you know, I mean it's created by Jermaine Clement. Taika Waititi is just an executive producer, so I guess he probably doesn't have a whole lot of involvement in this. I guess because he's gone all Hollywood, whereas Jermaine Clement's sort of a bit more. Well,
Not.
uh, he's not. He's like, I mean, I think he has broken America to a degree.
He's been
He's
like the main villain in Men in Black 3 and stuff, so he's doing all right.
yeah, but he's not like a.
He's not
He's not a
Stingray.
Taika Waititi level. You know, he's
No.
sort of Uh, but Taika Waititi did direct the first episode of the show. I guess similar to
Oh,
how fucking Sam Raimi directed the first episode of Ash versus Evil Dead.
yeah.
But I'm just looking here at some of the directors and writers. So I mean, Jermaine Clement directed and written a lot of episodes. Ian Morris He's from
Oh, yep.
Inbetweeners with Damon
Yep.
Beasley, which I quite like the Inbetweeners.
I'm a big fan of him too.
Yeah, you've got Jermaine Clement, Stefani Robinson. That name has come up a couple
That's
times.
familiar.
That name is familiar. What else have I seen her? What other work have I seen from her? Because she sounds. The name just rings familiar.
Yeah, it rings the bell. Maybe we just recognize it from the credits of this show.
Oh, so she wrote for Atlanta,
Oh, okay.
and she also wrote the pilot for the remake of the British of Peep Show. She wrote the pilot for the Peep Show
Cool.
remake they're doing, which I'm
Other
less
one.
I'm less I'm less into that, to be honest. I'm just seeing Iowa Dibri wrote an episode in season
All right.
4. She wrote the private school one.
Oh, that's one of the best ones actually.
That's probably probably my favorite. Yeah, it's probably the best one. It's between that and Go Flip Yourself from season 4. That's probably my
Go
favorite.
flip yourself. It's probably my favorite of that one. Those
Yeah, but
demons
the private
in
school one.
New York City.
Yeah, but the private school one's really good. Actually, that's one of the better ones
Hmm.
in season 4. I mean, Io Dibri is just everywhere now. Like she is literally just
Just
in
came out of
everything.
nowhere and just everywhere now.
Yeah, she was in Black Mirror. She was in
Which Black Mirror was she in?
She was in Joan is Awful. She was
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
she was in yeah. She was like she works at the same place as Joan, I think it was.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Yeah, she was in Inside Out 2, although she was very wasted in Inside Out 2, if I'm being completely honest. Thought her
Hang on, who was
character
she in?
was she was Envy.
Oh, right, okay.
But yeah, the show, it's what's your favorite episode of the show? So I've got to check
On
what
the Run.
mine is. On the Run? That's a pretty good one. Uh,
Yeah, I
I gotta
remember.
look up what was I don't remember.
I've got very, very fond memories of watching season 2 as it was coming out because it was during lockdown. The world had gone to shit,
Oh, of course,
and
yeah. That's right,
I
yeah,
just
it
got
came out, like, just at the beginning of lockdown, didn't it?
something like that.
Uh,
Yeah, so I just got to
April
enjoy 10 weeks
15th,
watching this ridiculous work.
2020. Yeah, April
Yeah,
15th, so yeah, right when everything went into lockdown and everything went to shit. I've got my favorite down here as Nouveau Theatre des Vampires. That's the season 2
fantastic.
finale where
But Guillermo goes all John Wick
yeah,
because they've
um,
been lured to theatre for
yeah.
whatever reason.
Then yeah, Colin's promotion is my second favorite
That was
one.
good.
I think season 2
Uh,
is probably my favorite season.
yeah, it's my favourite.
I mean, this show, so many cameos, like so many, just like, oh
Well,
fuck,
that
I knew
episode
this.
with the council, like where they're put on trial, that's just
Yeah,
referencing every vampire thing ever.
yeah. I mean, you've got Taika Waititi, Jermaine Clement, and Jonathan Brew from the film. You've got Wesley Snipes. Is Tilda Swinton in that one? I feel like I
I
remember
think
Tilda
she
Swinton
might
being in
be.
it. Yeah, Tilda Swinton's in it. Apparently, Paul Rubens is in it. I don't remember Paul Rubens being it. Yeah, but I mean, you've also got Danny Trejo is in there. Danny
Oh,
Trejo
yes.
is like in every fucking show ever made. Like he's literally
He's in
you put a
everything.
film on, and I respect that. He's just a jobbing actor who just does things, and it's like fuck it. I respect that. Like I don't. There's nothing wrong with that. The man's got work, and he's he's a pretty old. He's 80 years old. Fuck me, he's 80. Jesus,
Wow.
that's older than I thought he was. I figured he would be, up there, but I didn't think he would be 80.
There.
So I'm just checking. He's got 444 credits on his IMDb, with an additional 33 upcoming credits.
Wow.
So I respect that. He was apparently in an episode of the new Futurama, The One Amigo, which, to be honest, that does make sense.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. For something
Um,
vaguely Mexican, get Danny
Yeah,
Trejo.
vaguely Mexican. I mean, I feel like Danny Trejo's just like, oh, we're going to Mexico, or we're setting our story in Mexico. Who can
Let's
we
call
get
Danny,
in?
see if he's available.
Yeah, let's get him in
He pops
there.
in Breaking Bad at one point.
Oh yeah, he gets his head on the turtle, doesn't he?
Yeah. He
Yeah,
plays
that's a
Rose's dad in Brooklyn
Brooklyn
Nine-Nine.
Nine. Yeah, is he in? Is he just in that one episode? Because I feel like he pops up again at some point.
He might be in more than one, but he's definitely in that game night episode.
Yeah, I know he's in. Yeah, it does only in one episode. Huh? Could swear he came back for a second one.
I thought he did.
My mind. But yeah, you've got Mark Hamill, Greta Lee,
Yes, I
who
forgot about Mark Hamill.
yeah, Mark Hamill's fantastic. Mark
He's in
Hamill's a
the
weird.
Wasp.
Yeah, Mark Hamill's so weird to me because in my mind, I don't think he's an amazing actor, and then I've just watched something with him in it, like The Fall of the House of Usher. I watched towards the end of last year, and he's
Oh, is it?
fantastic in that show. He's really great in it.
He sometimes will just randomly pop up in stuff like this. The Greg Davis sitcom Man Down. He has a random cameo in towards the end of the show.
Is isn't that a show? I've not seen Mandan, but Isn't it like about a high school or something? Like Greg Davis works at a
He's a
high.
it's just about
He's
this
a
guy's life. Yeah, he's a teacher.
yeah.
But their local cafe that they go to, it's called like Bob's or something, and we only ever see Bob's wife running it. And then in the final episode, we finally get to see Bob, whatever his name is, and it's Mark Hamill. I'm like, how did they get him involved? That happened.
That's pretty impressive. Like
Yeah.
that, because like that's a British
I
show, and I
can't
can't
remember,
imagine it was.
when it ended, but I don't know. Maybe he was doing something for Star Wars, and he was just in the country, and I don't know from there how he got on it.
Nick Kroll, of course, he's sort of a recurring antagonist. It says Dave Bautista's in it. I don't remember that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dave Bautista. He was in the trial episode. I'll have to watch that again because I don't
Oh,
remember
right.
him
Okay.
being in it. Because I remember it says he was in it. A duo of vampires imprisoned by the council after they were framed by Laszlo for turning a baby into a vampire.
Oh, yeah. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, and I love that it's on the Wikipedia article says for turning a baby into a vampire, and then it says in brackets, which is very illegal. Like, just like that. There's just lots of actors. I'm hoping we get some good cameos in season 6. I am just hoping there's just be some like
I hope so.
there's like David Cross was in an episode. Fred Arm is in. Sofia Coppola, fucking, I do not remember
Oh,
that.
awesome.
Sofia Coppola was in
Is
an
she in the
episode as
trial?
herself. No,
Oh,
this
right.
is in season 4. She was in it as herself. I mean, that's good.
Which is
Don't give her a part because I've seen Godfather Part 3 and she cannot act like
oh,
as a character.
ooh,
Like she can't. Just let her be
ooh.
herself, and we'll be all right. But yeah, Hannibal Buress, Patton Oswalt. Oh, that's right, Patton
Oh,
Oswalt plays himself
a
in season 5.
lot of people play themselves.
Oh. Um, this show's really good. It's like some of the most I've ever laughed at a TV show. I'll be completely honest. Like there are times where I've watched it and I've literally had trouble breathing because I'm laughing so much. Like, and it's very rare for a TV show to give that, or for anything to make like the biggest examples I can think of would be classic Simpsons and Futurama. Like those two shows will like consistently make me laugh so much that I have trouble breathing because it's just so fun. Like What We Do in the Shadows is like a very rare show that I find incredibly funny. Not in season 4 as much. Season 4 is a bit of a blip, but then they sort of brought everything back up to a
Even then,
usual
there's still
standard
some
for
very
season
strong
5.
episodes in that.
It's not bad. Yeah, I don't think season 4 is bad by any means. It's just like it wasn't as good as as a lot of the earlier stuff
Hmm.
for me. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to season 6. I hope they stick the landing. This is the thing, right? I think we were talking about this like around when season 5 was airing. We were both kind of like when they announced season 6 was going to be the last one. We were both kind of like, okay, that's good. Because to be honest, I don't know when they can take it. I think they've
Yeah,
kind of done
they've done this
everything.
whole PMO trying to become a vampire thing as far as they can take it.
Yeah, so I'm
Uh,
kind of like, okay, so what is the thing for season 6? And I'm glad they're ending it now. I'd rather they end it now
yeah,
instead of dragging it on. I'm because I don't know how this show can really end
I don't know what you'd do as a
because it's not
finale.
well, that's it because they're not really do because this show is kind of like they're not really building to a conclusion with the story. They're sort of like, like they're not really the show isn't
It's not yeah, it's not
doesn't
like
have
the
a
characters really end up in well, yeah, they don't really change that much in terms of progressing in their lives.
yeah,
I guess that's 'cause
exactly.
they're vampires, they can't,
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
immortal.
They can't really change.
They can't really
Um
develop in life because it's not like, "Oh, friends, oh, we've got children, we've got family, let's go move
yeah,
somewhere else."
exactly. Yeah, I mean yeah.
I
Um
don't see them doing, like, your classic, "Oh, at the end of the show, all the characters, go off and do something else with their lives separate from each other," sort of
yeah, I
thing.
don't see
Or
that
make
because
it
I don't think the show would do that. And
I don't
it
know
wouldn't
how they
feel
do
like it would work. Yeah,
No.
I'm interested to see what they do with it. This season does have 11 episodes instead of the usual
Alright.
10.
We
So,
could be getting a two-part
I'm
finale.
interested to see um although there's going to be 61 episodes instead of 60, which is,
Quite
a
slightly
bit
annoying, OCD's
it
not
is
happy with that.
vaguely I don't even know why I find that like vaguely annoying. I'm just like could have just been a nice round number. But yeah, I mean, I give the show a 9 out of 10. I think it's great. It's really funny. I love the characters. I just think it's bloody good. It's real good. I better
Yeah,
than the film.
I'll echo most of that sentiment. I think I like the film slightly more. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and I agree with all the stuff you said, about the show. I give it a very, very, solid 8 out.
And I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else.
So I hope you have enjoyed this week's episode. We're going to be doing some horror stuff this month, which I hope you all look forward
Spooky.
to. Going to be some horror adjacent stuff, and then we're getting down to the last couple months of the year. I've got some good stuff planned for the last few episodes of this year. One Barney's really looking forward to that I've been able to pencil in at the last minute and
Yeah,
be able to find a slot for it,
but we
which
won't
I'm
say what
glad
it is.
because which I'm glad I've been able to find a slot in because they didn't have a release date for it. I was like, please just tell me it's coming out on this day so I can just slot this episode in somewhere, please. But yeah, I've got some really solid stuff planned. Hopefully, if everything works out, and we'll talk about season 6 in the review of the year
Indeed, Shane.
because I'll have seen it by then, and I'm going to be keeping up with it weekly because I like to
That's what
keep
you
up
do
with
for
shows
TV
weekly if I
shows.
can. We've got some fun stuff planned. Barney will maybe be involved in some of that. I don't know. We'll have to see what we can make work.
Indeed.
Hopefully we can make some things work out.
We hope so.
Barney will be on at least one more episode before the end of this year. I will guarantee you that there'll be at
Yes,
least one more episode, if
that's a
not
promise.
more.
Yes,
Only
minimum 1.
if not
Minimum
more.
being the minimum number it could be.
Yes, at least one. I can guarantee that. It might be more. It might be. I don't think it'll be less. To be honest, I think
I
you're
think that
quite
would
keen to do it.
that's
So
unlikely. Yes, I will
you
definitely
will
go.
find we will even if we have to record it like a week and a half in advance or something. You will find the time to do it.
Yes, I will be there.
But yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed. Listened to all the past episodes. 161 episodes I'm up to now with this one. Barney's been on quite a few of them. You've done quite a
Yeah,
lot over
I do.
the years. We did done some big seasons. We did like Edgar Wright season last year, which I really thought turned out really nicely. In terms of recent
Not a
stuff, we did a whole Tim Burton episode. We covered his entire career.
Yes, it's a long
We
one.
lost our minds by the end of it. We were
We were
both
both very tired.
and but I think that one turned out really well though. So go listen to it. It's fairly recent as well, so it's not you don't
Good.
have to go
Good luck.
far in your podcast catcher to find it. So yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed listening to this week's episode, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.
Creepy paper.